If you've been following the Idaho murder case, here's what we know and what we don't know. So suspected murderer Bryan Kohberger was extradited to Idaho to face questioning over the murders of 4 Idaho college students. Since then, there's been a lot of information and a lot of speculation around the case. So here's what we actually do know. Kohberger appeared earlier this month in court for a status hearing. Police handed in an affidavit, which is basically a statement from a police officer that includes all the information about the investigation of this crime. This document was made public, and there's a lot to get through. So here's a gist of what it says. 2 of the victims, Kaylee and Madison, were spotted at a grub truck near a bar the previous night. Both of them, and Ethan and Zaina, who'd returned from a frat party, were reportedly in their rooms by 2 a.m. according to their 2 other housemates. A white car like this was spotted on CCTV at about 3:29 a.m. It was circulating the neighbourhood of which the students lived, and then sped off at high speed at about 4:20 a.m. That white car fits the description of a vehicle that was found at Kohberger's family home, and it turns out he'd previously been pulled over in it by police. The document also said that Kohberger's car had apparently driven past the student's house a total of 12 times in the lead up to the murders. That's according to phone tracking data found by police. Talking of phone records, Kohberger's phone had been switched off at 2:47 a.m. and turned back on at 4:48 a.m. This is believed by police to be the time that the murders took place. Just before the phone had been turned off, it was travelling through Pullman, Washington, where Kohberger lives, and when it was turned back on at 4:48, it was in south of Moscow near Blaine, Idaho. And the morning after the murder, data also showed Kohberger travelled from his home to Idaho and back. And his phone wasn't the only one to give them info. Investigators believe that one of the victims, Zaina, was awake when the murders of her housemates took place. Her phone showed that she had ordered food and had it delivered at 4 a.m. She was also active on TikTok. Police also interviewed the victims' 2 other housemates, who were left unharmed and were in their rooms at the time of the murders. During police interviews, one of the housemates said that she could recall hearing someone who sounded like Kaylee Goncalves say something along the lines of, "There's someone here." She checked outside of her room to see if there was anyone there, but there wasn't. She then went out a second time when she heard crying and a male voice say something like, "It's okay, I'll help you." Around that same time, a doorbell camera picked up the sound of whimpering and a loud thud, followed by a dog barking, likely to be victim Kaylee Goncalves' dog. And after hearing more crying, she got up a 3rd time and opened her door. And this is where it gets creepy. She told police that she saw a dark figure in black clothing, wearing a mask that covered his mouth and nose, that started to walk towards her. She said the figure was around 5'10", athletically built and had bushy eyebrows, a description of which police say is consistent with Kohberger's appearance. At that point, the housemate said that she froze in shock as the dark figure walked right past her.
I don't know why more people aren't talking about the roommate's involvement.
What some people following the case are finding hard to grasp.
Nobody calls the police for a couple of hours. That's super bizarre.
There was no alarm raised until 6 hours later. The victim's family and other survivors of similar incidents have defended her though, saying it's possible that she was traumatized by what she'd seen. Police then arrived at the student's address, where they found Zaina, Kaylee, Madison and Ethan stabbed to death. A knife shaft was left behind, and it was later found to have the DNA of a male matching Kohberger's profile on it. But no weapon has been found yet. So what happened next? Although it may seem that evidence against Kohberger is significant, investigators say that they still haven't found a motive for why he would have killed them. So both Kohberger's defense and the state have agreed to extend the date of his preliminary hearing to June 26th. Where all evidence will be put forward in front of a judge who will decide if the case goes to trial or not. Kohberger's attorney said that he denies all allegations of his involvement in the killings,